Hi, everyone. I'm Dan. Thanks for coming tonight. So I would describe myself as a coder and a musician. I grew up playing music, and I started to code when I was in college. So the two of them combined is what I call a creative technologist, which is this new term that I still don't know what it means. So this is the working title of the talk, Creative Technologist Reflections. At RSC, it's been a good opportunity to kind of look back at a lot of my past projects and create new projects, iterate on those projects, learn new things, collaborate with people. So today I'm just going to talk through some of how it's been for me so far, as I'm maybe I think 3 weeks or 4 weeks away from the end of my time here. So I call these web experiments. In particular, these are music-based, and they use a little bit of MIDI control. MIDI is a protocol that allows you to send notes, like musical notes and timings between devices. So I'm just going to, rather than explaining it, I'm just going to show a little bit of what that looks like. So here we go. It's loud. music inspired. More so it's just the circumstances that led to me creating this project. My brother decided to have a wedding in Europe, and the cheapest flight I could find was this one. It went from New York City to Madrid, through Moscow. When I got to the airport, I had my computer, I had a charger, I was set, except there was no Wi-Fi. To use a Wi-Fi, I needed like a Russian phone number, and then they were like, we're gonna keep your data. And I was like, nope. I'm gonna bite the bullet and deal for these 13 and a half hours with the movies on my hard drive and my computer. This is a picture from the airport. I don't know what year this was, but this was back in 2017. This was like 2 years ago and change now. So I had my computer with me, and I had some like past projects with me. Some of them had Node modules downloaded, one of which was Tone.js. Has anyone heard of this before? So Tone.js, I'm gonna close this so it doesn't make any noise. Tone.js is a library to make sounds on the web. It uses web audio. It's like an abstraction, a library on top of that. This is the website, but if you actually download the Node modules, you'll have this all just locally on your machine. So I was able to painstakingly go through, well, this isn't that painful, but going through the actual source code, I got real familiar with it in those 13 hours to a point where, well, I know how to use it. A lot of my projects are, I call them web experiments. They're web-based. I think the web it's a great tool because it has a lot of constraints, which is not always great, but it can be great in that it makes you have to be creative with what you're working with. But also, it's very accessible. You can send a website to anyone. They can load it on their phone, on their browser, and you can share projects that way. That's just the medium I choose to work with. And it has some affordances, one of which is Css Animations. If you ever want to be a creative technologist working on the web, learn CSS Animations. The background's actually not a CSS animation. This is a GIF because it's Google Slides. However, for those who don't know CSS Animations, CSS Tricks is a great website. This is something where this background color is actually a true CSS animation, where we're going from this bluish color to this reddish color. And rather than a GIF having to describe each frame, the browser's great at rendering things and it just does it for you. So you don't have to figure out a lot of the intermediary steps. So background colors are great, but you can also do a few more things. So this is a circle turning into a square. And the only things that the only changes is the color, the size, the border radius. In HTML land, having a border radius of 100% means that it's a circle. So it's going between those two things. And it lets you do a lot of interesting things without having to code all those intermediary steps. So step 1, CSS Animations. Step 2 for this project, I was working with, at this point I wasn't working with Web MIDI. That's how you integrate like the live coding elements. You talk to a MIDI bus, which I'll talk about in a second. But web audio, that's what's actually producing the sounds. The web's getting much, much better these days. Web audio is always changing, so I would just warn you, your projects might not work in like a year, but as long as you revisit them every once in a while and you go to RC and work on them, then you can revive them. So these are the main technologies, and then live coding itself. So this is the most technical part of the talk, so bear with me, or if you're technical, enjoy. This is what I was using. I was using a tool called Tidal Cycles, and that tool actually you use it via a text editor. I was using Atom in this case. And if anyone recognizes this right here, it's a domain-specific language of Haskell. So I've never done Haskell before, but I was able to pick up Tidal Cycles while I was here at RC. And that's using a protocol called Open Sound Control. It's like MIDI 2.0, some people call it, to talk to SuperCollider. And that SuperCollider uses MIDI to talk to my websites, which is what we saw earlier. So that's the first experiment. And then while I was at RC, I started a second experiment. So this is MIDI experiment number 2. For this experiment, I wanted to try to explore a little bit more. So I tried breaking away from the DOM. This might mean nothing to some of you. The DOM is, if you're doing web stuff, this is a document object model, is that correct? Getting some nods, cool. That's pretty much like all of the text that you see, it's a lot of the images, so I was trying to break away from circles and squares, but I wasn't really doing it. I was just using SVGs. SVGs were very mysterious to me. How it all started was I found this website here, where I'm gonna scroll real quick, go real slow actually, and you can see as you scroll, it draws this shape that is definitely not squares or circles. I'm gonna scroll up real slow. And every time I see something on the web that I don't know, like I don't know how it works, that's just what's driven me to be learning all the things I know now. So I Googled it a little bit and I found this great resource, which is breaking it down. I have links at the end so I can share all these with you. And pretty much, there's just two attributes that you change to animate SVGs, one of which is how many breaks you want to have in the SVG, so we can have a lot of them, or we can have few, and then the other one is the offset, so if we want to make them move around, ooh, I am an artiste. So that's one part of it. And I created this other project called Bezier Play. The other part the other technical piece of this is something called a Bezier curve. Has anyone here used Microsoft Paint before? Mm-hmm. Yes. That's like what got me into computers, actually. But have you used the curve line tool? Yeah. Cool. You know how to control Bezier curves. Essentially, you describe the curve with 4 points. So I wanted to learn how these worked and integrate this so I have more than just circles and squares. Not to say that circles and squares aren't good. So yeah, I can show that project real quick. This one lives on Glitch. Glitch is a great platform that you can host projects on. You don't have to deal with any of the hosting stuff. Deployment's really easy. Let's see, let's hope this works. So similarly to the other project, I've added a better little GUI, so it looks like a keyboard now, not just ASCII or text, but here we go. Cool. So each time you press, it generates a new SVG. I have these little toggles here, so it's a little different each time. So these are all SVG elements. If I was to inspect these aren't drawn on a canvas element, these are actually DOM objects. So we have the curve defined and we're controlling it with Css Animations. So that's the second project. I'm not gonna do as much of a demo with this one. That one lives here. I'll share it with you all after. So that brings me to the final point. As I said, RC is a place full of people asking lots of questions about what's happening with our lives and whatnot. And I don't know. It's a great, but truly it is a great crossroads for a lot of people. People like to do this as a retreat or between jobs. So I think that puts people in a lot more of a mindset to be asking questions about what is, I guess. For me, that's always just the struggle of work versus creative endeavors. These projects I started 2 years ago, and it's only now coming to the point where I'm comfortable talking about it here. A lot of the process happens over time, and it happens on nights and weekends. It happens when I'm between jobs, or it happens when I get stuck in an airport for 13 hours. Yeah, and I think just one thing I want to leave with you all is think about your metrics for success. When I was in that airport, I didn't know why I wanted to make an instrument. At that point, I just knew that that's something that would kind of help me through that time. And for me, I've only realized recently that music is definitely a solace. It's like a coping mechanism. It continues to give me joy. So I think when you're working on projects, when you're working on creative endeavors, just try to have the metrics. For me, I try to have the metric of success being that I'm enjoying making the thing. And we live in a world of lots of Twitter and Instagram and whatnot, but just if you enjoy the thing and it continues to give you joy, that's what's gonna bring you the farthest with the project. So afterwards, I'm happy to talk more about all these things. We can chat. I bought a new domain name for $6. You can find the links there. There's also a lot. Don't sleep on the .dog domain name. There's a lot of but yeah, I'll be sticking around. So thank you so much, everyone.